I'm always wondering if it matches. Almost.
Oh, wow. Oh.
It's not too bad, actually. It's better than yesterday.
Nice swap.
Yeah, why don't you swap, and then we'll get it perfect. That way there's no confusion. Otherwise, I'll call you the wrong name, Faiq. Yeah.
Always the problem.
Yeah, that's OK. All right, well, welcome. So here we are. I'm going to ask the panelists to introduce themselves. I think probably they don't need much introduction, but just in case there's one person in the audience who doesn't recognize all of them, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves very briefly, and then we'll get right with it. Miguel, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Roy. Hi, everyone. So I'm Miguel Alvarez. I'm the Chief Data and AI Officer at Orange Business, which is the B2B division of the Orange Group. And with my team, we make sure that we use AI to transform how Orange works, how we make our products better, and how we improve the interactions with our customers.
Excellent. Thank you, Miguel. Sef?
Yes, hi. I'm Sef Tuma. I'm the CTIO of BT International. Just been there for about 8 months, but it's my first time in the telco industry space. I'm more of a platform person, which I'll talk about in a bit. But our big focus is launching the Global Fabric platform, which is going to revolutionize the way that we bring connectivity to the large-scale multi-enterprise.
Excellent. Thank you, Sef. Go get Hesham.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hesham Fahmy, and I'm the CIO at TELUS.
Faiq Khan, pleasure to be here. Good morning. Part of Rakuten Symphony for a couple of years. I was heading the Oasis business unit, currently leading the whole portfolio for Europe, Middle East, Africa. For who doesn't know Rakuten Symphony, it's a part of Rakuten Group and a technology arm for Rakuten Mobile and taking the technology from Rakuten Group and Rakuten Mobile globally.
Excellent. Very, very good. So yesterday, if you were here, there was a lot of talk about sort of beyond connectivity and some of those elements around there. There were panels that were ostensibly focused on some level of monetization, but there was less discussion about monetization yesterday than I was hoping for, because I was hoping to pick up some tips. But having said that, I think we'll actually be able to dive into it proper today. So we're going to try to keep on topic, which is how do we monetize the gold rush? I mean, it's an uncomfortable topic, as we know, right? Those of us who keep seeing things like, how do you monetize 5G? How do you monetize 5G? How do you monetize 5G? That's the age-old question. And then when 6G, if and when 6G comes along, we'll probably be asking ourselves the same exact question again. So there's a goal rush, right? As communication service providers, we move that goal around, or some elements that make up that goal at some point. But how do we tap into it ourselves without siphoning it off, surreptitiously? That's not the goal. So today we're going to talk about goal rush in the context of sort of 3 themes. We'll start with, we know that there's a lot of gold in AI with regard to the enterprise. And so one of the key things is, how do we monetize AI in the B2B context, the enterprise AI? 2 is, how do we change from becoming just an enabler, again, just running the pipes, to becoming a value creator in the value chain? That's certainly one of the key things. And then finally, I think these folks here will tell us where the real revenue shows up first, so you can go grab it quickly before it goes away. All right, so let's start with why enterprise matter or should matter in enterprise AI. Telcos matter. So we're going to start with the optimistic case, right? So enterprises already buy critical services from telcos. We know that. But AI definitely raises the stakes. So why should a CIO trust a telco to be a strategic AI partner rather than just be, the plain old connectivity supplier again, right? So Miguel, you have this difficult question to answer. I think you have probably a good answer, hopefully.
I have an answer.
Yes.
I'll let you just.
Yeah, you can rate it. We'll do the thumbs up.
Yeah.
No thumbs down, just thumbs up. We'll be positive about it. Right?
Don't take that literally. No, but seriously, the thing, you said it yourself. I think that selling megabits per second to enterprise for AI is not necessarily more profitable than selling them megabits per second for cloud. So I don't think that is the path to go for us telcos. However, what I see when I talk with other CDIOs in our customer companies is that today the biggest barrier for them to deploying AI and making return on investment on AI at scale is not technology. The models are super good these days. Mm-hmm. It's not the lack of ideas. I think that we now see a lot of use cases that work. I think it's trust in how it all works. And this trust is multifaceted. It's trust in terms of security. It's trust in terms of how your data is used. It's trust in terms of really getting a result. And what I think is interesting for us, telcos and operators here in the room, is that we spend a lot of time building trusted relationships with our enterprise customers, being reliable, providing services that are safe and secure. And if you look at how that translates to AI, that's already something that is extremely relevant. I mean, if I take the example of Orange Business, more than half of our revenues today come from digital services. So we do not just sell lease lines or internet or SD-WAN to customers. We also send them cloud services and data services and cybersecurity, very importantly. And they trust us with what we deliver for them. And if you look at AI, the first trust on cybersecurity. Orange Cyber Defense is a European leader. They have been investing in using AI for cybersecurity, and now they're putting cybersecurity on AI. How do you protect agents? How do you manage risks? All around them. Secondly, you have trust in terms of how your data is being used. And these days, in the particular context, we have not just compliance, but also resiliency and even sovereignty, digital sovereignty to think about. And I think that telcos have shown that they are trustworthy partners that will respect your data, that will play by the rules. And we can play by the rules in different ecosystems because, of course, even though in Europe we are world champions in regulation, there is also regulation in the States, there's also regulation in the Middle East, in Asia Pacific, and so on. So I think that it's very important to reassure multinational companies that we are going to guarantee how the data is used and where it's placed. And then there is a third kind of trust, which is not being locked in. The market is so turbulent that making a bet on only one player, only one model, even if it's the best of the best today, does not guarantee that that's going to work out 2 or 3 years down the road, which is why we have also taken a very open approach in terms of how we approach AI. So we've built a platform that we call Live Intelligence. And it's multi-LLM, it's multi-cloud, it's trusted by default. And it's open in a sense that for me is very important as a user of the platform because we use it internally for our own transformation, which means that you can integrate inwards other tools, other data sources, and so on. But you also can integrate outwards. You can export the agents, you can have them run somewhere else. So you are not locked in. So at the end of the day, if you have enterprise companies that want to build AI at scale and want to make sure that they have a solution that is going to support them over the next few years, I think that operators have a real role to play there. And that's for customers of all sizes. And we probably will go a little bit more in detail later, but it's particularly relevant for customers that are not themselves super expert in AI and they want someone to bring them a solution that they can rely on, that they don't have to build themselves.
No, I think that's fair, and I saw Hesham nodding actually quite vigorously when you were talking, Miguel. So I'm going to go next to him. And so trust. So I don't think anyone in this room is going to argue that telecoms are trusted, right? In many ways, right? I mean, enterprises run communications over our infrastructure. They better trust us, right? So trust maybe gets you into the conversation, right? So that's good. They say, okay, I'm going to talk to you, but I think the question is, what gets you in the deal, right? I mean, yeah, we'll talk to you, but how are you going to get the deal? Right. So where in the end-to-end stack, right? Aside from some of the examples that Miguel described, where do the end-to-end stack, do telcos actually have a real right to win? Because you have to win to be able to sort of take that money, right? Is it network only? Is it compute, software, security, sovereign operations, very important, or something else? Hesham.
I think Miguel gave a great answer to that, and
we should all thumbs up him.
Yeah, 100%. This is reinforced learning live.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all of the above, I think, and I'll answer it from a customer lens. So let's just picture you're a large enterprise, say you're in financial services or healthcare, and you want to embed now AI in the services that you offer to your customers. But you care about sovereignty, you care about trust, you care about responsible AI. And so where do you start? So then you think, okay, if I'm trying to do that, well, I need to make sure that my data in transit is always secure, it's always within my borders where it goes, It's at rest, it's always secure, I manage the keys, so I got to figure that out. I got to figure out, okay, where the compute happens. I got to first make sure, do I have access to stable amount of compute, because that's very scarce, so how do I guarantee that? I got to make sure that that compute also is secure, it's sovereign, it has the right jurisdictions, legal entities. I have to make sure that's in place. And then I got to think, okay, the models I use. Okay, I got to trust the models. And which model should I do? Like, there's so many out there. And then how do I trust the lineage of what it's been trained on? So that's a lot of cognitive load for these enterprises to figure out. And that's not their expertise. And actually, that's not the problems they want to solve. They want to figure out, how do I use AI to drive my business? So wouldn't it be great, and wouldn't they love, if I could go just one person, one throat to choke, and if someone could give me what I would like to call the AI operating system, solve all that, solve the whole thing for me, give it to me turnkey, and you've answered all those questions. And I think that's the role that telcos can play because of all the trust we have, because of where we can play in the ecosystem. And it doesn't mean that we have to build it all ourselves. We could partner internally, but we could package it all as saying all those elements of the whole stack, we can give it to you and guarantee it to you with the trust that we already have, and there's a value play to play there.
I think that's fair. I think that is something that telcos have proven to add value in, right? So that the bundling, unbundling scheme, right? We're good at bundling, but this will be a very selective bundle, right? So it's sort of a curated bundle with the regulation and trust added by the world champions in regulations in some sense, right? So, so to speak, at least in Europe, right? And so as an enterprise, if I consume from you, I know that you've done some due diligence. I know you've put some expertise into place. I know that you will connect me, because connectivity is important. You will connect me, allow me to move data in a secure fashion to where I need to use it for either fine-tuning or inferencing or even pre-training, that you will help me do that. I think that makes sense. So hopefully we can maybe capture that, right? But I'm going to pressure test that a little bit. Whomever nods gets the next question. So I saw Seth nodding. And now you're nodding too. So, all right, good. So don't nod if you don't want to get asked.
What happens if we shake our head then instead?
If you shake your head, then, well, I'm not quite sure yet. Let me figure out. You get a harder question. Yeah, I'll be like, Hesham, you don't agree with Miguel, do you? Right? Why? All right. So let's pressure test this a little bit, right? So telcos, we've said similar things before, if I recall, right? On maybe not this stage, but other stages that some of you have been on, right? We said that we could give you cloud, we could give you edge, we could give you APIs, we could give you some level of digital services. So what is it that makes AI different enough to have us create value? And is there any worry that this would end the same way with some of those aforementioned services that we're still in the process of trying to monetize? Seth?
Yeah, so I actually come from a platform space, so a lot of the old ways of telcos doing things is kind of counterintuitive to how I think.
Yep.
This idea of bundling and building a bunch of services and buying a lot of things, packaging it and selling it. Now, from our perspective with Global Fabric, what we're doing is we're actually saying our competitive advantage is software IP, AI, and the network management and the network itself, all within our control. And thus, what we really care more about is how to basically build that into a tradable asset, meaning that all of that, it's not just the network we trade, we actually trade all the software and the management that goes above it. What I mean by that is that we have collapsed the commercial data, the network performance data, the services data, all within the same structure. And that allows us then to create the correlations we want, not only within our way our business is able to support all of our customers globally, but our ability to build insights not only for ourselves, but to publish those for a number of different people. Those people don't necessarily need to be directly our customers. Yes, our customers will be one of the ones who can basically then, when they do the do-it-yourself, have a significant amount of insights on how to optimize the network based on all the different things they want to do with different cloud providers and different ways of piping data for sovereignty reasons to get to the outcomes they're trying to get to, but also a broader partnership ecosystem. Taking a page from how AWS or Azure work, which is building these large-scale transformational programs in which AI is in the center of it, and we get then context from these partners in terms of the higher levels up the stack. We provide them the context of how to optimize the network for different types of use cases to get to the outcome. So instead of trying to say, hey, I'm going to bundle a bunch of stuff, I'm actually going to be more API-based and allow for integrated solutions to go out there and be able to really power the business without myself having to own as much of the infrastructure. So a capital spend is a lot lower, and it's much more into software. And at the second time, I'm able to actually work with partners that may have more scale and more access to the larger transformational programs they're going after, and be a critical part of that, whether that's around reducing the cost of actually getting up and running, or secondly, to optimize the cost once up and running based on the different types of automated use cases they want to do.
Oh, I think that's fair. Now, yes, perfect. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that. So Rakuten's a rule breaker, right? In many, many ways. So I would like you to sort of respond to what has been said so far, and maybe if you have a counterpoint, that would be appreciated, because it's boring and everyone agrees with everyone, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I'm waiting for this opportunity.
Yeah, I've been waiting for you to speak up on this one. So perfect timing.
Thank you. So I appreciate. Trust is important, and there's no doubt that telcos are perceived as trustworthy partners for enterprises. But I thought the theme is monetization.
It is monetization.
So we all will agree that whether it was cloud, whether it was virtualization, we all have sat down on the stage and said very similar things. And I am very pleased about Giles' Snap site, because we can now track the statements we have given 2 years ago and maybe this year and maybe our statements in next 2 years.
It's a hallucination. It was.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. It was hallucination. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we often confusing what is customer trust, customer retention versus customer loyalty. I live in UAE. I use a mobile operator. I trust them very much. I actually use them for another business service in our office as well. I trust them very well. And potentially they do everything that I will have a customer retention towards them as well. But am I loyal to them? Are they able to get more of my wallet share? And that's the big question again with the AI opportunity, that are we going to be able to, for once, get bigger wallet share, whether it's our enterprise customers or our consumers? And in a lot of cases, there's a huge percentage we rely on our mobile subscriber usage. And that's where, cloud, edge, AI, all these are capabilities. Unless and until we don't have real business monetizable solutions, we're not going to make money. Now, TELUS, I was earlier talking with Hesham, and I said they do a fantastic job when it comes to non-connectivity ARPU versus connectivity or telco ARPU. So it's very good. It's very similar to what we take a lot of pride in our Rakuten story. As most of you know, that we come from more a techco enterprise to a telco journey, and we monetize that very well.
It's a reverse play. I mean, in your case, it's a reverse play. So
yeah.
In some sense, it's not fair, right?
Yeah, it's not fair, and it's absolutely like easier for us, on a smaller scale to make it enable and happen. But I think it sets the right tone.
That's true.
For whether you're Orange of the world or BT of the world, because eventually you want to get there. Now, I was just thinking there was a very amazing invention recently, smart fridges. I can get these nice LED screens. I can see from my phone what is the temperature of my milk. We got some very expensive smart fridges. We got a very good technology, wow, but did we really buy it, or how much monetization happened is questionable. So in our industry, we are great in assuming what we will do technically is wow, and how we will be really able to monetizing, it's been a big question. So just going back, it will all be how it's bottoms up, sales driven, what customers are really looking for, whether they are enterprise customers.
Sure.
So there is an opportunity, there's no doubt. There was slightly bigger opportunity, but let's see.
That's fair. I mean, I think it's good to be skeptical. Yes, Hesham, go ahead.
I just want to say something here, so fully agree, Faiq. But if we look at the old promises, like edge, cloud, all that stuff, they were all kind of optional technologies. You didn't have to engage them. It wasn't kind of existential, right? There was some value there, but it didn't have to. But when you look at AI, tell me what organization AI isn't an imperative to them. It's a board-level discussion. This is happening, right? And this is going, and it's existential for everybody. And so I think this notion, we're in a different thing. It's almost like connectivity was 30 years ago. Once it's there, everybody needed it, and you're going to do it. There's something to play. I think the same thing here. AI is happening to everybody, and it's going to be there. So I think there's a different kind of market where it's more captive. It's not optional. People are trying to figure out, and everybody has to figure out how they're going to get in on the AI game and use it and adopt it in their businesses. And so there is a play, and there is a bit of a captive market here.
That's fair. See, Seth's nodding again, so that's perfect. So you talked about so if we are going to capture that value, right? So yes, so maybe AI is now essential, almost like air.
Yeah.
Water, food, something like that, right? Shelter, going down Maslow's hierarchy. But given that it's critical, the telcos have to still capture value, right? Back to what Faiq said. So you talked about platform, you talked about software, some of the key assets that the telco owns, right? What strategically, given sort of your past life, what strategically is important for the telcos to sort of own, right? And what do we partner to try to capture some of that value? And why is it that ownership of those assets will actually unlock value for the telcos this time for an essential service like AI?
Yeah, and I think it's a really great question, and I come from the other side, so I kind of know how both
side.
parties can make money, and it's different than how telcos have done in the past. I think a lot of telcos sometimes try to build a whole stack, sell a whole stack, and the margin erodes because of all the things they're buying. I don't know if that's necessarily the future model, at least not for BT International. What I care about is I will make money from the use of my platform to be able to have large-scale volume of bandwidth used for AI and different types of models and everything that happens. My job is to ensure that that is optimal for every enterprise, of every type of ways that they want to work, whether it's about automating their factory or whether it's about something they want to do maybe in the enterprise low-level finance systems. All of those have different requirements and needs to be able to get to an outcome they're trying to get to, and some of them are going to be critical systems. Now, I'm not going to build those large-scale transformational programs. It isn't what I want to do, because that's a significant investment in either verticals in which I need it, or I have to buy it, or I have to basically then also build a lot of skills and capabilities that aren't network-based capabilities. So partnering is an approach I care a lot about. But partnering is a new thing potentially in terms of, it's not go sell my network. I don't think that actually works. What I think it works is that we will build a consolidated solution that no one else can do in the market to optimize the enterprise in a particular way using AI, in which our tools and capabilities around optimizing the network for AI in terms of sovereignty, in terms of which cloud provider to use for which particular area, how to make sure that that's actually driven, is critical to that business, both in terms of how quickly it can be set up and how fast it can drive value. And again, that's a bit of a page taken from AWS and Azure, who of course they don't really build that many industry solutions, but they definitely love when people make their disk spin. It's the same model on our end, right? Mm-hmm. So what I want to make sure is that everything's going to be API driven, and I can work with a number of different partners who have a lot of solutions they take to market. We will be the foundation of what those things are going to be as they make calls to AI, as they even use our AI engines to optimize their network to be able to do things. We see that is a way of new monetization, and it drives scale, because instead of it just being our, let's say, managed services, I will work with any managed service provider, of which we can be critical to the outcomes they provide, either as the customer themselves, the DIY, or the growing areas of people who are building AI solutions in the marketplace.
Fair. I think I'd like, go ahead.
I know, I was going to take the opportunity because I can disagree with you on something, and I agree with you on so many things. Because I think that taking the platform approach is really essential. It's something that we telcos need to learn from cloud. And when cloud came, we tried to do cloud the telco way, and I don't think it worked out ideally, just to do it in a euphemistic way. So we need to be much more software-centric and much more clear about how we build a composable platform from the beginning with the right architecture. And we have a lot to learn from hyperscalers. You mentioned AWS, that there is a lot of good practices. What I disagree a little bit is that I think different market segments will want different things. And you were saying it very, very well previously, that if you look to mid-market companies or small companies, they want something that is simple to consume. That doesn't mean that they want everything from a single provider, but they want it simple. They don't want a super technical product that is not going to help them. And that's, by the way, the reason why hyperscalers very often partner with local players to be able to bring the cloud to them. And I think with AI it's the same thing, and I think telcos can play a very important role in that ecosystem, either with solutions that we build ourselves or solutions that we partner. What I think was a mistake is that traditionally we build super standard solutions one way, and everything that was not super standard was super custom. And it didn't scale, it was not competitive, it was not necessarily something that we could get. So we would end up with these overblown packages that not necessarily people weren't willing to pay for. And I think that if you adopt a platform approach, a real platform approach, you can bring both the simplicity for those who need it, and you have professional services and managed services to do that, and you can also work through partners and with partners to do other kinds of services, indirect, technical buyers, do-it-yourself, as we were discussing earlier. So I think it's not an either-or. It depends a lot on which markets you are trying to address, but I think it's more about how you do it, and how you adopt a very different approach in terms of building your stack and building your solutions tomorrow.
I think that's fair, and that's how you do it. Yes?
Roy, if I can add something. So I think I agree, but still there's a mindset change, and the mindset change, I feel like, and I mean, you guys are leading the business side, so I assume you guys are very much into it, but it feels like, are you looking into selling a service to logistics company instead of selling them connectivity, timely delivery as a service? So they will get, of course, a connectivity package, but it's the route sufficiency, the edge inference available to their drivers in a package. And that's the opportunity with the AI possible. We should not be selling IT networks to retailers anymore. We should be selling loss prevention AI, that how their camera visual analytics and edge inference, again, end-to-end alerts for the retailer and the buyer.
I mean, I agree with you, but so let me do a but on that, because I think that what you said, Sef, I fully agree with it. I think that telcos don't always or often have the muscle to get into super verticalized solutions. And I think that, I say it for Orange, I don't want to speak for others, us getting into the service of building a super vertical logistics service and pretending that we're going to do better than the specialist is a little bit arrogant on our side. I think that we need to go into services with partners, and we need to make sure that together with them we can build some verticalized solutions. And I think that we can go into solutions where they have a strong adherence with our core business. Like, for instance, customer experience and contact center, we've been operating in that for 20 years. And there is a lot of data that relates to the connectivity itself, multi-channel, SMS, fixed, voice, non-voice, and so on. There are services that we can build there. But I think that we need to be careful not to go too far into the verticalized territory, because, I mean, Amazon does have verticalized teams, but Amazon has a lot of money as well, and a very, very, very profitable business underneath. So I think we need to be careful, and for me, one of the lessons from the cloud era, and we have the scales to show it, is that if you try to do everything instead of others, you get into a zero-sum game. If you try to do things with others, okay, you don't get the whole pie, but you have a much more solid position in what to offer. So I do agree with you. We need to go up the value chain in what we provide to customers. The difference is that we shouldn't pretend that we're going to do it always alone.
Yeah, and I'd add to that. I think in the end, in the world of data and AI and monetizing it, you need context. And you need to be able to get, when you're at the network and you're at the bottom up, that's always been one of the issues. Now, obviously, I go after the multinational enterprise, which it's hard to do an easy thing, right? They always want to do things the way they want to. Yeah. And at the same time, there's a high cost to that business of which you want to do it or not. But the fact is, application providers and application systems are things we would not have access to seeing.
Yep.
In the AI world, when we have a tradable asset of which we have agents that can actually be smarter about how to use a network based on the context given to them to optimize everything, this allows us to basically start building capabilities that allow us to get more of an understanding of what's up the value chain without being experts at the value chain or trying to go all the way up and down. And that's where the partnering becomes important, because you can build some potential solutions that are solutions. You can do R&D with them. You can build models with them. Right. And we have to pick the right ones who have the money to want to do it or go after large-scale global providers. But at that time, you're then able to get more context of the data, because you're giving them data they need, and they're giving you data you need, and you can start making yourself a little more intelligent about the types of solutions you do without having to invest in a full vertical. And that also is useful because we have to build those capabilities anyway for the core business. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're building something that's to the side to be able to go up that value chain. It's what we need to optimize our own network, to sell our stuff better, to be easy to work with. At the same time, then it's also easier for us to partner. And I just think in my mind, that's going to be the way to monetize it versus trying to just sell solutions to market that are kind of shrink-wrapped. Because at that point, the margins will be tricky and there's no barrier to entry.
That's fair. Now, I'm going to switch to solutions that are shrink-wrap. You just said something, which is where the money is. And I think what we've heard so far is that there is money in connectivity. Again, we make money in connectivity. Let's just make better connectivity for AI. Let's use that connectivity in a platform manner, working with partners to figure out the appropriate bundles that the enterprise customers want to buy, because AI is now a necessity and essential, right, to their. I mean, it's essential to any business. I think, it's absolutely right. It is different. And not to try to do it as a separate business, right? Run a separate unit, but try to build it into the core business. I think that's what we've heard so far. Now, along comes, there's no one from NVIDIA here, is there? Okay, so I think we're probably safe. So along comes NVIDIA and says, AI factory. And they come to you and they say, AI factories are getting a lot of attention, right? They make tokens, right? If, in case no one knows what an AI factory does, it makes tokens, and tokens make you money. The more tokens you make, the more efficient they are, the more money you make. That's what Jensen tells us, so it must be true. All right, so NVIDIA loves them, obviously. So for a telco, right, they come along and say, okay, I know you're going to do all these things, but here's an AI factory. Go build an AI factory, right? So when does moving into compute again, right, become a real opportunity than yet another capital-intensive replay of the old data center story, right? Hesham, what do you think?
So we love AI factories too, and they've been very profitable for us.
We love NVIDIA is what we need all.
No, I mean, we love NVIDIA because they're a partner. We're a partner with them,
exactly.
but I mean, they're not the only chip in town, right? And we're looking, especially getting inference, and you're getting now LPUs and TPUs.
There are a lot of
You have to think
now.
broader what's going on there.
Agreed.
Before I answer that question, I want to wrap up this because it leads into my answer. Because I think what we're saying here and all our peers is there is a play for connectivity for AI, but we can't, our go-to-market motion can't be that we're selling connectivity for AI.
Yeah, I think that's
if you
fair.
just go in the market and try to sell that, it's flying flat. And so it has to be part of a vertical solution. And whether that's we do it our own, which is probably not a good idea, or we partner with other people, but the go-to-market sales motion is it's part of an end-to-end solution. And this is an enablement for it. And then you're going to get the pull-through, right? And so then as it relates to the AI factory, if you believe that thesis that there is a market out there, there is going to be consumption of tokens, and that is real. If we look in the market now, it feels like we are getting over our skis on this, and it's pretty ludicrous what you're seeing and the numbers being thrown out. But if you unpack one level deep, there is unmet demand in the market right now. There is a lot of demand and not enough supply for the compute. And we're only looking in a world today where most of that demand is coming just from training models. So we haven't even hit the inflection curve of inference when all those models start being used at scale. So there is that is a real market economics right now, and you see it in the play of just how pricing is happening now for data centers and compute and tokens. And so there is a real market there. The question is now, how do we not get caught up in it as a telco and then do big capital outlay? But this is where you can be smart. And we had dinner last night, and we were talking about the Amazon way and making two-way door decisions.
Exactly.
I think this is where telcos have a huge benefit, and it's a small window of opportunity we have, right? Because all these big data center builds that are talking gigawatt factories, they are still 3 years out until they come online. And they're big kind of aspirational plays. But if someone wants to use consumer right now, they can't. Even hyperscalers can't cater to demand.
Right.
There's a window you can fill in and you can meet that demand. And a lot of telcos have our own assets. We have data centers that have been atrophying or not getting used. We have some things that are fit for purpose. We have them connected through a network. We have central offices. We have access to power, right? Like that's the biggest thing too when you're trying to build out, like trying to get power allocations and getting land allocations. These are all assets that telcos have. So you can make now not these huge, a gigawatt kind of bets, but make smaller, 10 megawatts, 5 megawatt bets and build them out and minimize the risk and kind of do these build outs, because then you can offer like the consumption immediately. Like you can actually say, I can get this up and running in 6 months, and you can start running your workloads and not wait 3 years.
Sure.
And it's a very interesting window, and that's what happened with us at TELUS. Like we built our first AI factories. We even shocked ourselves that within 6 months we were sold out.
Yeah.
And we're like scrambling now to get the next ones online, but we're doing that. And you've minimized that risk because the bets you're making are these small incremental ones. So your capital outlays is a lot less. A lot of the times you're pre-selling, like even before you've built out and you're bringing 1,000 GPUs online, probably 90% of them have already pre-sold them.
Yep.
And so it becomes a low risk or lower risk kind of capital outlay. And I think that's the way to play it that telcos can do.
I think that's fair.
If I can add to it, and I completely agree with Hesham, and I mean, we have done a phenomenal job in assuming that this is how we will monetize, but not really gone into that vertical solutioning and being able to monetize. And let's do it this time right, because yes, there is a huge potential with GPU NVIDIA story, but again, if we will be able to monetize, and if we are able to do it, time it well, then it's really better. Because I mean, even in 5G, we came up low latency, we're gonna make more money. Okay, where did we? Oh, actually, we can do surgical interventions, video with low latency better. Oh, we don't have a network slice yet, so that we can really monetize it better. So probably going it carefully this way is much better than thinking that we can just go roll out heavy capex investments and then again struggle for the monetization angle.
Yeah, no, I like the way Hesham actually constructed that argument very carefully, which is that we're not going to go raise $300 billion to go build something for demand that's not here. In this particular case, it's a weird window in the market, right, where there is very, very much lack of supply, very clearly. Huge demand, especially from the frontier labs that will go find a GPU wherever they are. As long as your cluster meets the minimum configuration, they'll come to you.
Exactly.
In fact, they're following NVIDIA's shipments, the little trucks. If it comes to you, they lock in, right? They know it's coming, right?
Well, and the beauty is that you can get it and bring it online in a few months. It's not you bring it, but I've got to wait 24 months.
They'll even come in. They'll even come in your data centers and help you rack, stack, and get them up, right?
Exactly.
And all you need is to get them secure connectivity in there and power it and keep it up, and they'll pay you.
Yeah.
And in 18 months, you'll make your money back. And then, whatever comes, right? So I think that's a smart way of doing it. Obviously, you got to look beyond 18 months and figure out.
But even so, yes, and then I say look at the economics too. So definitely you're going to have it more than 18 months.
Yes.
but the beauty of this method of doing it, there's two beauties to it. The first is GPUs have a long shelf life. You even see the debate now. Should you amortize over 3 years or 7 years?
H100s, the price of, has gone up.
Yeah, they've gone up in price because they stay. And so even if you, after 18 months you don't have it and you wanted to sell them, you can go back and sell them and probably get 70 cents on the dollar for what you spent for it, right? So there's already kind of like, downside protection there. And then you've also, by doing it in this tranched way, you're not betting on a single generation of GPUs.
Yeah.
Like if I went now and did a big 300 million kind of buy, then I'm locked into the Blackwell right now, and that's when I'm locked in, and Vera Rubin's coming.
Yep.
But if I do this now, these tranches, I'm going to have a heterogeneous kind of capability of all these generations of DPU, and now you can sort of use that to do price arbitrage based on where your local workload
is. It's an incremental game.
And so then again, you have this great move that you can make as a telco.
Yeah, it's an incremental game. I think that's a good game. So any other ideas on how to make money beyond AI factories that clearly are making money for him today, right? So any other services or other monetization opportunities that you're seeing across, where else will we see money? I mean, Hisham's seeing money right away. Where else will we see money in AI, like next or soon, or maybe you're seeing it already?
I come from the world where can you use AI first to clean your own house and make money, your normal money first, right? And then can you make those investments actually then be monetized for the broader ecosystem? So for us, what we're looking at is actually, the old way of trying to sell, manage, and optimize connectivity has been so problematic in terms of how we even operate. The fact is when you build a platform, you don't need all the people you need, and you can make faster decisions about how to serve your customers better. In a lot of ways, that's where we're going to be looking more and more to invest in AI to do that, which then over time allows us to be better at commercializing and being more flexible to respond to customers.
I think that's fair.
You build that as a model, you can then monetize that capability. As I said, we're bringing everything at the API level. We're not building as much capital. We don't have actually tons of places that we can do that. And an infrastructure buys is not where we're putting our capital. We're putting it into a software platform or where we own the asset that way. Our ability to make that happen, where we're actually not going to have CPQs, not going to have any of these things. We're just going to be agentic in how that works. That then is going to be how we're going to manage the network. We have full control over from top to bottom. Once we're able to do that and optimize our own business, we will make that available to the broader areas on how to do the exact same thing, while also connecting with every cloud provider, any other provider instantaneously around using GPUs whenever they want it, without us having to buy it ourselves. So we're taking a little bit of a different approach of more of a moderator. So yeah, it may sound boring that's the thing, but actually if you can get your own abilities right and be as fast and responsive for an enterprise model which has a lot of complex asks, then why even try to do other things to monetize when you're not clear?
Miguel, what do you think?
No, I agree with Sef a lot on this one. We are a little bit in between because we have our own private cloud and we're investing in GPUs, but we're mainly doing it to be able to offer trusted and sovereign services, not necessarily to build capacity and compete directly or to fill a niche. Maybe it's a question of what the market stands in France and in Europe versus Canada. What I see is that we're also making money in extending with AI services that we already provide. I mentioned earlier contact center. Like we managed 80 million conversations for our customers with agentic AI last year. We are rolling out advanced agents and voice agents right now, including for our B2C business. For our second brand in France, we rolled an autonomous voice bot. And we see a lot of demand from customers in that regard. I mean, we have been doing IVR for many years now, but IVR is painful and it's not fantastic user experience. Don't let my people working on IVR hear that, but the reality is that you can do a lot better with the technology that we have today, and there is a lot of demand for that. And the other way that you see it, and it's a little bit of the cleaning the house that Sef was mentioning, is that the live intelligence platform that I was mentioning earlier, we use it in-house. It's what we run our own optimization in. So our network services become better as a result. Like we used to take 30 minutes to do a full end-to-end diagnostics of an SD-WAN and complex networking issue. Now we can do it in 3 minutes. If you are using our network as a service platform, Evolution platform, you get an AI assistant that helps you with the configuration. And that's also built on the same platform. So what you're going to see is progressively, you're going to see monetization in customers buying the AI solution directly for some customer segments, as we were saying. But you're also going to see a lot of people that want to get better features that are powered by AI in your service. You're going to have much more headless services, agent-based services. And unless you have good AI capabilities, you are not going to be able to compete. So it's both table stakes and also a way to differentiate. It depends on how quick you are. If you are very quick, you can differentiate and you can make additional revenue. If you're not that quick, at least you can remain competitive. And if you are too slow, you're going to be out of the market.
I think that's very fair. I think what I'm hearing is, in terms of monetization, here to wrap up, we're at the end of our session here, but in terms of wrapping up, it sounds like, it's a very pragmatic view here, right? You monetize AI by leveraging the platform assets that you have, right? Platform, your network, and then either build it yourself if you can, or partner, ideally, build end-to-end bundle solutions. Don't sell connectivity, sell a solution, to meet a business need to the end customer. And by the way, there's many opportunities for indirect monetization by using AI internally, right? So it's got to, physician heal thyself first, right? As opposed to go out and just push it because thinking the money's outside. There's money to be made inside as well, or with inside. So I think that's great. So, sometimes when you look at the world of AI and the world of telcos, it's kind of like, AI is kind of like watching a Netflix movie at 2x speed, right? You're like, it's going so fast, and Jensen's, like out there, and like every 12 months he launches silicon when it used to be 2 years, right? You're like, that's crazy. Some people may characterize watching the telcos as, sort of slow motion, right? So the same movie, but sort of slow motion, right? So let's just look out, sort of 18 months, 2 years, right, out there, and we're looking back at this moment, and we say, look, you can pick your outcome, depending on your level of optimism. Either we've significantly monetized AI, right, directly or indirectly, right, or we've failed again to adequately monetize yet another cool technology or cool wave or cool trend. So maybe each of you give me one single reason why that outcome happened, positive or negative outcome. I'll start on the far end with Faiq.
So I'll give a slightly twisted answer. I was prior to coming up here, I was sitting with Kahal on the table waiting, and we were talking about the slowness, how we move in our industry. So as a telco providers, we have an opportunity that are we going to sell AI, or I will not be exaggerating with full conviction, I'm saying this, that we can become AI company happens to have networks. And this is where I have still a bit of disconnect on this panel. Now, in Rakuten Mobile, we have 10 million subscribers, and yes, we came from the TechCo where we have almost 100 million subscribers outside in our enterprise LAN, and we focus at how we can monetize. I, again, believe that we are moving very slow, and what I listen, and I respect and completely appreciate that some of the big telcos, they come with massive infrastructure legacies, and it's not easy to change that overnight, so completely respect that. But the mindset change on the opportunities is still slow, to the point you're making. And how do we get more of the wallet share, whether it's an enterprise or a user? So I strongly believe, and I leave with this point because I'm very, very passionate about it, that there is a generational issue. The generation X, Y, whoever is controlling this industry at the moment has a lot of bias from the previous generations, and we remain very tactful and careful. It feels like that we need to take a generational leap and give the decision-making and more fearlessness in order to achieve the real monetization angle. On that note, why I say this with a lot of conviction, Japan, a very, very different culture, very different environment, very, very careful environment, but has been very bold in the Rakuten journey, what we have seen. We last year claimed that we made 250 million incremental revenue using our AI algorithms on Rakuten Mobile customers or outside ecosystem customers. So I strongly believe the opportunity is now. How fast This time we will move. We can claim that. So, very passionate about it. This is how I
So you will
want to answer.
succeed, and it's because you guys have the right mindset to begin with, because you're not a telco.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of fair but unfair, but okay. Then it's okay.
I'll take it.
It's cheating, but that's okay.
I'm an internal optimist, so I'm going to pick the outcome that we succeed and that we take a piece of the pie here.
Excellent.
I think it's going to come. I can't give one reason. It's got to be two. It's one reason external, one reason internal.
Sure.
Right. So I start internally. The reason it's going to be is that we walk the talk as a telco. So we truly, as my peers are saying, internally transformed and adopted AI internally, and we became an AI-first kind of company. And everything we've driven is by AI. So then we can walk the talk, and we can truly understand that for our customers. And then the external reason is, again, to what we've been saying here, is we stopped trying to sell connectivity point solutions, but actually thought of it as a value chain entirely, and went to market that way. Whether we did it through partners or not, but we weren't trying to sell it as piecemeal kind of technology, but it was always part of an integrated solution, and that was the value that our customers saw.
Very fair, but TELUS has been pretty good at verticals compared to other telcos, so yes, you succeed too.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I do think platform-based thinking and culture is important. I mean, we've been spun out, so we were able to build that on our end as well.
Yep.
And it's really important because it's about, the speed of product engineering versus the speed of telco setup. And that's how we talk about in our organization, and that is ability to go fast. And of course, build all the things in the guardrails to make sure you don't make mistakes. But in the end, a network isn't a SaaS product, right? And as everybody else knows, the people are buying us for also how resilient we are, how Swiss we are in terms of making sure everything can go, and at the same time that we are always responsive and reliable. And we want to make sure that we don't lose that into everything we do, because that is an area where the trust has been built over time. But the ability to then build software capabilities and everything else fast on top of what it is on our end why we have reduced our dependency on third parties. So our ability to innovate fast in areas that we think are competitive advantages is what we're going to own ourselves, and it of course allows us to partner in more, let's say, unique ways. So from us, I'm pretty confident that if by building that new platform mentality in terms of a platform business versus a telco, we're going to be relevant. And given we're global scale and we have global customers already that are enterprise for us to start serving, it gives us a lot more of a positioning than like a startup who'd want to enter the market. So I think all the parts are there. I do think at the same time we have to sell and find ways to sell outside of the CIO and CTIO in terms of what we do, which is why I think it's not just about your solution, it's about your sales force and if they can talk the talk to the manufacturer or the other people. So I do truly believe that we need to learn the partnering muscle. I worked with Accenture, so I know what it was like to work with AWS. They may have verticals, but they need people who can go and sell to the other broader people. We're going to need to build that muscle, which is, again, not much of a telco muscle in the past. So that's why I think us being more of a platform company and seeing ourselves like that and taking a page from AWS and Azure will make us successful in terms of the global market.
Excellent. So that's the third win right there, and that's because you're platform, you're lean, you're mean, and you're agile, and you're softwareized. That's not a word, but we just made it up. But Miguel, you succeed too?
I'm going to agree. Yeah, we're going to succeed. It's thumbs up. Now, but first, I subscribe everything that you said. I think that it also depends on how you define success.
Yeah.
Are we going to multiply our valuation times 20 and become a $2 trillion company? I would wish to, but that's not my main bet. That's not where I would put my own money. But I think we're going to succeed because we provide a service that is critical, that is increasing in value as we transform, and that we're going to be able to make evolve. And clearly, the tension that you were pointing out is, for me, the critical one, is that we want to be reliable, we want to be trusted, but we also need to move at speed.
Yep.
And I think that is the critical balance to strike to be able to go fast and succeed. And I believe that we can do both. And I'm going to give you 2 proof points from our own company. First, one of the key partners for our live intelligence platform is LangChain, who is coming from this open source software and now have also platform components. They have tens of millions of users through the open source platform. The stack is evolving every day. I log into the platform, I talk with them. Every week there is new features. And many of those features, we are one of the first to be using them in an enterprise context. Yeah. So we're also learning from them. And the second traditional weak point for us has been on how we build our own software, what you were pointing out, Sef. And I think that there is an enormous revolution with agentic coding in that. We are rolling out agentic coding to all of our developers, not just a few, not just a select, everyone. And it's a huge culture change because, of course, we want to still build software that is very reliable, very safe, very secure, but we want to do it much faster than we used to. And I think that that allows us now to get away from this mindset that we used to have, oh, that project is going to take me 2 years. Now you can say, okay, now I'm going to get ahead and do it because it's going to take me 2 months. And I think that that's an opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves in terms of how we do things.
Excellent. So we have 4 wins, 4 winners at least. And so there is hope for telcos. There is money to be made in AI. We will make it. And so when we look 12 months, 24 months, 18 months from now, wherever that is, we'll look back and say, oh my God, we were so successful. We didn't make 2 trillion, but at least 1 trillion. How's that?
All
right. Good, perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning. And audience, if you could express your appreciation for the panel, thank you very much.